Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going into our final session. And very importantly, there will be no PowerPoints. There will be no interventions. There will be no official language. There will be no policies. There will be no pre-written statements. There will only be the hearts and minds of the leaders who are ultimately guiding where we take this next. They are three leaders that I am very confident will speak without filter. They have exceptional insight and intelligence when it comes to the industry. They work exceptionally hard. And they've been fantastic in literally coming from around the corner and around the world to be with us today to have a chat. We don't have a fireside, only because the air conditioning is too strong. But I'm delighted to welcome to the stage for our final fireside chat, the Honourable Minister of Tourism of South Africa, Auntie Pat. Please join us on stage. Applause, applause, applause. Thank you. We also have joining us the beautiful Natalia Bayona, the Executive Director of UN Tourism, and who is really the brains trust when it comes to investment in education in UN tourism, with a very warm heart for the continent. Please join us. And we have a very, very, very brave man who is actually thinking he can get a word in with these three women on stage, Natalia, myself, and the Honourable Minister. Dr. Senthil Gopinath, the CEO of ICCA, the International Congress and Conventions Association, please. Excellent. And I'm delighted to say that the Secretary General is not joining us because he's gone off to play tourist, exactly as he should. So, please join us. Okay, I'm going to sneak in there. Have a seat. Oh, I'm going to lose you in the chair of white. Brilliant. So, the whole point of this conversation is, quite honestly, to be honest, and really look at it from the point of view of, as I said, we've had enough of the presentations. We've had enough of the interventions. I would love to understand, in the now 20-ish minutes that we have before we close this incredible inaugural summit, what do you think is the most misunderstood, under-recognized opportunity that exists within Africa? I'm going to start with you, Senthil. I'll give the man a chance before we women take over.
Thank you, Anita. It's such an honor to be with all of you, particularly Honourable Minister and Natalia, dear friend, and Anita, dear friend as well. I think if I may take 1 minute extra, Honourable Minister, from morning, I'm just around the world, talks to policymakers, look around what we need to do. For me, I don't know, it's so heartwarming, this 7 hours starting from 8 o'clock this morning, what we have achieved here. It's unbelievable, if I may say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I came here for a day. I flew late night yesterday, 12 o'clock, and I'm now catching a flight at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, all the way, just to say a huge thank you to this wonderful lady. I flew from Amsterdam, a long way. But this is what we envisage around the world, advocating. And I also told Natalia, I came all the way from Colombia, so I came from much far ahead than Amsterdam. I just transited. Why? It's very simple. It's because, Your Excellency, in our industry we struggle. We look for these kind of policymakers with consistency and also with this kind of passion. And you to spend the whole day here with us, I think she deserves a huge, huge round of applause. I mean, that's answer to you, maybe partly answer to your question, Anita. That's special about Africa. This kind of commitment is very, very rare. You find it in very, very limited, I mean, I don't know whether I've found anywhere else, if I may openly say that. Because whenever I met her for the last 3 years, a dear sister, and I've been following at many events, ICCA events, she's part of it. When I say ICCA, the International Congress and Conventions Association, when we do in Frankfurt, when we do in Barcelona, Meetings Africa, she's so dedicated because why? Because it's understanding the industry and more importantly, the African culture. And of course, looking at, we need to fight it. A couple of gentlemen said in the previous panel, we will be forgotten unless otherwise we do constantly. And that's the speciality of Africa, and that's what that leadership from continuously doing that makes this place enormously unique.
I'm going to give you 120 seconds of a commercial opportunity. Can you please explain what ICCA is and your membership. Because very importantly, and it's why I pivoted the conversation earlier, the MICE industry, and not small little things with tails, the meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions industry is a lifeline for global tourism. Because it's year-round, it's repeat visitation, there's dispersal in the destinations, it extends the length of stay, and people play and pay more because the companies are actually paying for them to come. So,
Absolutely.
Can you explain a little bit about why this continent is so unique as well? Because you spend a lot of time banging on doors elsewhere for people to appreciate the industry.
Absolutely, Anita. Thank you for that opportunity. ICCA is an institution, global institution, which is about 65 years history, 1,200 members around the world, corporate membership, ICCA, the convention centers, the Convention Bureau of Cape Town, they're all members of ICCA. We have members from 108 countries around the world, primarily working with policymakers, private sector, public sector, in developing the $4 trillion industry where we are talking about, the business events industry. Again, one of the other key partnerships with ICCA is UN Tourism, a great work done by Natalia and the entire team, the Secretary General again, is to drive the business events in the main agenda. We always say we need seat at the table, but business events is all about driving that seat on the table across the world. So that's what ICCA does constantly. And Africa is extraordinarily important for ICCA. I keep coming about at least three times a year to this region because the fundamental growth on the MICE segment in many parts has achieved more matured stage. But here, it's building infrastructure, bringing private sector together, and also innovation, it's at the forefront. So I really, really enjoy coming to this region.
And is it safe to admit that Toby, the CEO of CTICC, is actually your favorite CEO of all the members? Or
Absolutely. And it's very well said, Anita. I just spent last 45 minutes with her. I just scooted off from this meeting, quickly went and said hello to a great advocate who really, really drives this city. And business events are all about, just now the video really very well crafted, clearly showcases, it's not about people sitting around the meeting room or bringing revenue to the country. The impact and the legacy those events create, building clinics, investments, bringing bankers, investors into the country. Every conference has a topic, that topic remains in the country, it doesn't leave the country, although people leave. So that's important of business event.
Because I think it was actually might have been during your tenure as mayor, madam, when the CTICC was opened. The entire business case was on the economic impact for the city. It was never about the CTICC as a standalone venue. And that's what made it acceptable to people to spend all that money. It wasn't about the building, it was the heartbeat that it shed out. And so if we look at it from that point of view, Natalia, you have a unique perspective because you know the stats. And as much as you're a very proud Colombian, you always love coming back to the continent. What do you think? It almost makes you scratch your head and people like, how do you not see this opportunity?
I would say that as a Colombian, and then with the UN hat. As a Colombian, I would say that it's a must, South-South cooperation. You know, today I was delighted to listen from Brazil that it's only 7 hours flight. If I do the flight from Madrid to my hometown, Colombia, is 10 hours flight. So we're closer. Our routes are the same routes. When I come to Africa, I feel like at home because we have the same essence. So I feel that from the South-South, that's why we are pushing that agenda forward, because I feel that it's a must, that more Latin Americans are coming here, more Africans are going there, not only for tourism, but also for investments. There's a lot. Remember that Mexico is top 10 in the world when it comes to tourism. Colombia, with pride, I would say that it's a before and after peace, and today is one of the countries that is growing the most. It's super well connected. So I feel that's an opportunity that we really need to work on. Then, from the multilateral perspective, I would say that we are on the right track. We are working with all the countries, as I mentioned this morning, to create investment frameworks and to innovate. It's not only to give the investor tax reliefs. What South Africa is doing is really smart to create special economic zones. It's not only about bringing a hotel, it's bringing the whole ecosystem, and of course, 40% of this region is about youth. Tourism is the top employer of the young generations. But we need to push that track, really to believe that through innovation, through startups, through creating the well environment, not only traditional investors can come here, but also venture capital investors, family business, family offices, because at the end, this is a move that was how other countries in the world started. And I know that if you use the power of that, of the talent that you have here, tourism is about humans, tourism is about youth, tourism is about innovation, because every single human being is a different story. So that's a real opportunity to train them and to create a startup and entrepreneurial mindset to go from informality to formality, you know?
It's interesting that Natalia speaks about youth and innovation, because it reminds me of when I first met Natalia in San Sebastian. It was an executive council meeting, and you just joined the organization. And she was speaking about the importance of technology and innovation in the future of tourism and the whole bit. And you were going on and you were speaking, I think you mentioned about blockchain and you're mentioning all of these and these cryptocurrencies. And if I remember correctly, the chair of the executive council stopped your presentation. And literally he just said, I don't understand what you're saying. And that was such a brilliant confession, because the fact is, the youth and the future of tourism are talking a language and innovating in a way we don't understand. Correct. And they are the future. And if we don't bring them into the industry, we are shutting down our own future and the impact it's going to have. But I'll never forget that moment when he was just, shame, you're making my head hurt. Stop talking.
Can I share one example?
Please.
I want to share one example of real life, of today's life. You know, that I was amazed because I was working with a banker, my personal banker in Spain, and he told me, Natalia, do you know what the Saudis are doing to promote FIFA? And they have a KPI on using the Google Glasses and to work with with Movistar and all those TV companies, so that they can assure that people that are not coming to Saudi for FIFA, they can use the glasses, and through virtual reality, they can go into the VIP rooms, they can experience a stadium with all the vibes that you normally speaking have. I got that and I was like, this is thinking about Generation Z, because I am a millennial. I was born with mobiles, but not with glasses and augmented reality. So I was thinking, this is smart, because at the end you are thinking about Generation Z. Then I came to Latin America talking about a discussion, and I throw that away. And they told me, yes, Natalia, but they are not tourists. And I told them, no, you're wrong. They are future tourism, and you're engaging them. So when I was young, Disney did an amazing job with me, because I was always thinking about going to see Mickey and whatever. So in the traditional TV, I was looking at the movies, and that soft power came to me to say, I want to go there. So now it's through glasses. But always there's the question for ministers, what are you doing for Generation Z? You know, in 5 years from now, in 7 years, in 10 years from now, they are the tourists. And what are we doing? So that's an example.
And it's an important one, because to your point, the technology is an appetizer for future tourists, the same way the movie industry is. Same principle. It's all about that. But Madam, you've always embraced technology. You were very excited, what, a year and a half ago, when you started the partnership with Google, and plotting all the places around the country that could widen the footprint for tourists. Where did this inner child come from in your excitement for technology?
Not all together. I'm surrounded by young people, and I tend to say, this is your business. I create an opportunity for them. So now I'm also spoiled. I don't need to learn, because if I look for something like what I had to do something yesterday, I had to put a video together with a clip onto X. and I didn't know how to do it. And then I'm fortunate, I just called one of the young ones to come and help me. Yes, I think technology is taking over in many ways. But when it comes to a policy level, you know, here in South Africa, we used to speak about the fourth industrial revolution. It just sounds nice, like a cliche. And I don't think that we have catch up with the rest of the world. And before you open your eyes, AI is on top of that. So for me, I will just create the opportunities for young people to lead that. I don't want to learn anymore anything. But let me come to the business events. I want to thank my brother for coming halfway around the world to join us today. But since he is so committed, I think I want to ask him for a task. He said yes already. Can you see even before? We are now like 80% done with our G20 hosting. We had more than 135 business events all over the country. We shared and we spaced all the events in all 9 provinces. Then, of course, the big one will be coming at the end of November when all the leaders will come, the heads of state will come. But where I was asking for help from you is that I want to do an impact study of what was the contribution to the tourism sector through the business events. So I'm sure you have the technology to help us to measure the impact of all of these business events. Yes, South Africa, we put in a lot of bids for events to be hosted in South Africa. For this year, we've been successful with about 18 of the events. But I also want to take the events around the country, not just in the big cities, Cape Town, Durban, and all of that. So we have been successful there. But I do think maybe using technology, that we have to really look in how we design our bid applications. And how we, I think there's a great opportunity in the MICE sector for Africa. But I don't think, and we've got a small percentage, like you said, I think we've got 4% or less of the world's business events. So there's a big opportunity. And we would certainly like to work with ICCA to build on that, to grow. Yes, South Africa is the leading business event destination in the continent, but we need to spread it also over the region, like my brother from Zimbabwe said earlier on. So I think there are great opportunities in the business event sector. Somebody said earlier on, even when it comes to seasonality, like our summer season has just started now in September. So we know tourism is going to pick up. But then it tapers off next year, April, May. And that winter period, we must target to bring in more business events. So I will certainly call on you, my brother, to help us with that. So that we don't only, it's one thing to lead, it's another one to how do you sustain it. Don't think because you are leading, I mean, Rwanda is doing very well. I think Rwanda is hot on the heels of South Africa. So we need to do more to maintain our lead in the continent. Thank you.
And I must say, Madam, and before I, now that you have your homework for your flight, I think what's important as well is, to your point, the economic impact assessment of the G20, absolutely. Yeah. How do you then take that knowledge and say, great, for Formula One, for the Cricket World Cup, for Live Golf, how do you marry business events to the sporting events? So like I said with the World Cup, if people are coincidentally going to organize a conference around the time of F1, how do you create the synergies? Because opportunity seems to be, it's all about scaling up. And connecting those dots. So do you accept the challenge from...
Absolutely, Honorable Minister, because it's something, again, you become unique in every aspect, because that's what we advocate around the world. When you do an event, do an impact study, understand what it is, because that's, again, even from the private sector perspective, that all the contribution they made for the entire event, they could assess as well. So when you're making another bid, it's always, you can easily talk about to the organizers, look, this is what the return on investment has come out of it. So ICCA would be glad to support that and bring that report. And for me, that's very special, not only, like you said, not only from South Africa, it's a case study for the entire continent. You know?
A question, though, because that's why I want to take it back to what Jerry said earlier about the fact that we need to start to speak community. Our language needs to change. How do we build that in? Because you've had experience with that. I know from your side, Natalia, you've always very much had that engagement. How do we build in, so it's no longer about, it's an impact assessment. Economic impact is part of it. How do we bring in the community impact? So it's a fundamental part of the study being complete.
Absolutely. Well said, Anita, really well. We use a 7-pillar strategy, so it's predominantly, it's not only economic impact, it's a socio-economic influence, the community engagement, the sustainability part of it. So all 7 pillars will contribute, and it's a great finding to see that, like you rightly said, Honorable Minister, it's not on the metro cities. When you went to the 2nd, 3rd tier cities, how it really impacted, because that's where the true impact comes in, because they contribute, they don't know the value of it. Whereas in the cities, yeah, we always find a way to do it. And to give a quick example of that, this year the ICCA Congress 2025, it will be held in Porto, in Portugal. What we have done is, first time we are experimenting an extraordinary model called the multi-venue model. There'll be about 16 venues will become conference center in the city of Porto in Portugal. It's a small city. So what we thought, how do we get the community engaged? And this inspiration came from great work done by Natalia, and then SG. I learned these things from UN Tourism, how they really continuously adapt the organization to get close to the community. So I did tell my team, let's open 11 venues around the city, so that when the people move around through the conference, the local community is part of it. They ask the question who they are, what are they doing there, and at every venue, the local community, small provinces or the cities of that venue is engaged in the event.
Which is lovely, because you're also widening the net in terms of potential destinations to bid, because it's no longer about, we need a venue for 1,800 people. No, we need multiple venues that collectively can hold 1,800 people, because people want that more, the highly immersed, low air conditioning environments where we can actually get out and engage, and that's the opportunity.
And if I may quickly add on to that, a little bit of inspiration came there, what you said in Meetings Africa. G20 is all about going to many cities in South Africa. Remember you mentioned your Honorable Minister, so I thought, yeah, there is what we could do in a smaller scale. Of course, G20 is much bigger, but that's where it started.
And equally on top of that, that's where, when you take this report, pull it all together for the Honourable Minister, share that with UN Tourism, with whom you have an MOU, to make sure that the sector becomes a part of the greater conversation in tourism. Then it all works together, because that's where, Natalia, you can say, this is the case for beyond leisure travel and beyond leisure investment, to make sure it's optimized. Now, I have been a completely greedy child all day with having the blessing of these panels. Does anyone have any questions for these spectacular speakers while we're here? Any questions? We don't have a fire, but we can put them in the hot seat. So, any questions at all at this point in time? Oh, we have excellent.
Thank you very much for the opportunity for the question. Minister, I think a lot of people have spoken about the interventions government is doing and the need for us to work together across countries in the region. Are there any positive steps towards visa cohesion in Southern Africa to enable more travel to, say, Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa for tourism? Because as someone mentioned around Schengen, that just seems to me to be a very low-hanging fruit that can be decided by 3 or 4 people in a room, in my simple understanding.
Please, absolutely.
Yes, there is supposed to be a SADC visa. but not all SADC countries have signed up to that visa. And that's why, I think in terms of tourism and travel, you now also have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And I keep on saying to these ministers, it's not just about moving goods, also about moving people. What is going to change now with South Africa is that all of those countries who currently don't have the 90-day visa waiver agreement with South Africa, with the electronic travel authorization, the ETA that's coming in, it's going to be applicable to the whole world. And that's going to solve our problem with some countries that must still apply for visas. We had opened up last year in 2024 with Ghana, early 2024. Once we have done away with this visa requirement, the tourism grew by 149%. To an extent that when I visited Ghana earlier this year, we engaged with SAA. Instead of having 3 flights a week, by the end of the year, they will have 7 days a week. So it shows you the impact of visas. But then with some countries in Africa, we still also have to apply for visas. And it's costly in most cases. I think it's like an income stream. And if the African Union, can sort this out once and for all and allow people and goods to move freely in Africa. Out of the 9.2 million visitors that we received last year, 76% arrivals in South Africa is from the continent. So there is already a great potential to grow even more from the continent side. But I'm also encouraging South Africans to also travel to the rest of the continent. And many of them would like to do so if it was not for the air access problem and moving around in the continent. So hopefully other countries can reciprocate with South Africa once we open up at the end of September and allow South Africans also to travel to their countries freely. Thank you.
Indeed. It's an important point you mentioned, because especially within the continent, it's not just people coming here for entertainment and for holiday. The shopping value is massive when it comes. It's cargo sitting in the seats, not in the belly of the plane. And that's where the opportunity is huge. But it's exactly that. It's how do we unlock, how do we take the thorns out of our feet? That's the important thing that we need to do. Yeah. Because from your point of view, Natalia, when you look at and you presented the report in terms of the investment opportunity on the continent, visas and air connectivity, deal breakers. There's no question about it. Are you finding when you do the research on these countries and the investment opportunity that this is where investors are saying, I see what the opportunity is in the country, I just can't get in there? Does it come out as a vocalized challenge?
You know that 2 weeks ago, I had an interview for the most important newspaper in Spain talking good things about Africa, about investments and how international investors see tourism. And one of the main questions is my answer. So I feel that the most important challenge in the world, not only in Africa, is about education. And there is a crucial question mark on the investors. That's why I feel it's very clever, the youth incentives employment that South Africa has, because at the end, you have a path or something to solve, because when you are investing in a country, it doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or if it's a hotel, you take your time. When you decide to do an investment, it's a 5 years, and then to maintain that investment and then to scale, no? So when you're looking for high-end investments, when you're looking for a convention center, it's not only about building the place, it's about who is going to work there. So the question mark comes there because, as I mentioned this morning, tourism is a top employer. But just to give you some key figures that I didn't share today. 2/3 of the OECD countries working in tourism, the workers, they just have secondary school, a diploma of high school. So if you see that, what is the big question mark here about, okay, how this sector is that serious to bring high added value jobs that you don't need to import talent from all around. So this is the challenge, and that's why education is always in my top priority, because if we don't educate people or reskill people, or we don't promote lifelong learning in tourism, it doesn't matter if you're young, mature, it will be impossible to grow as a sector, and as the minister said, to maintain the investments. Today we are booming as a sector, but who will maintain that if we don't have the proper people with the proper skills? And you can ask the techies as well. When they ask for coders, it's very difficult. They can have the investment there, but if you don't have a specialized people that can use AI, that's another thing that I forgot. There's a very interesting survey that says that the corporates are able to pay 20% more of their salaries to people that understand and that can apply AI in tourism. So we need yes to focus part of our job, not only the public sector, but also the private, in educating people.
I must say that it's every time Natalia speaks, and in whichever language she chooses to speak, in whichever form, I can only say, Natalia, you are a very loving and very loved mosquito, because you always buzz in our ears of you avoid youth at your peril. You always carry that message, because it's true that as much as we are working within the industry, we need to make it work for those next generations. And if it is not appealing, if it is not incentivized, if it does not have a clear track for education and innovation, why should anyone join our industry? And it's been lovely you're being that champion, and then you equally being the champion when it comes to the MICE side. It's all about connecting the dots. And then you have the Honourable Minister who's always trying to just scale it up, scale it up, scale it up. Don't create, support what's already there. That's what's really important. And that's where the beauty of the G20 summit comes to life. Do we have any last questions before I finally give the Honourable Minister a break? Please, we have two.
My name is Gregory. I'm from Bloemfontein. Minister, I am the executive mayor there, and I would like to echo the sentiments of the hard work that you're doing. That's where I want to start. Although you did not choose part of me in terms of a project, but the richness of the deliberations today and the ideas that flows throughout the day has gone a long way for us to take back the wisdom with which would enrich the metro that we're running, the country. And for that, I want to echo the same sentiments that were echoed here, that your eyes are just in ensuring that we have a better future. And I felt it would not be enough it be said by our internationalists. Let's echo the same sentiment and say, we are behind you, and we'll piggyback on each and every idea that was generated here. And I'm going to be a problem to you in making sure that I benefit dearly. I spend the whole day with you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Madam, please, final word.
Hi, good day. My name is Viola. I just want to say very insightful. Thank you so much for this panels and for the conference. However, my question is about inclusivity and the pink dollar. It's not mentioned here, but it does play a big role in terms of the tourism economy and people coming in. I take you back to, I was one of the lead presenters for World Pride Cape Town 2028 in Colombia last year. And we won the bid. We won the bid. However, it's not mentioned here. So I just want to know, where is that? Where is the pink money or dollar going to? Is it part of it? How will it be integrated?
Brilliant.
It's definitely part of it. Maybe it's just an omission today, but it's big. It's big. They actually called me when you won the bid there, because I had also given support for the bid. So I think now, which year is it? 2020, 26? 2028. Yeah, we still got a bit of time, but let's connect now and start. Put like a local organizing committee together where you bring sports, arts and culture, tourism, and all of us together. And let's start planning now already. But definitely, I think Cape Town is benefiting a lot from the pink dollar. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much. So with that, I ask you all, please, to put your hands together and give a very loving final applause to our speakers. Thank you.